Well, friends, it's been a hell of a ride, but it's time for a little break.
Welcome to Not Safe for Words. I'm your host, Crystal L. Kirkham, multi-genre author, editor, and cover designer. I'm here to give you insight into the world of publishing and to help you avoid the mistakes that others have made. So stick around, you're in for one hell of a ride where I don't curb the curses.
For once, I'm recording this episode the night before releasing it, not because I ran out of time or I was running crazy busy. In fact, my life has slowed down just a touch lately. But I left it till the last second because I didn't want this season to end. I have really fucking enjoyed doing this podcast this year, and I can't wait to start on next season's recordings. Whether or not I'm going to be doing them as I go or pre-record a few or not, we'll find out. It depends on how busy I am over my break. And as one last measure of procrastination, I put a poll up on Twitter asking what booze I should drink to toast out the first season of Not Safe for Words. Now, the poll ended up in a tie for whiskey and mead. So I asked my good friend Jody Jensen to be a tiebreaker for me, knowing she probably hadn't voted yet. And she chose whiskey. But you know what? Who am I to ignore my followers? So I'm going to drink whiskey as I record this episode, and I will do a final toast out with the mead. And it's actually an elderberry mead. However, enough about what I'm drinking. Let's just get right into it today. And we're going to start with a look back on this first season of Not Safe for Words and a bit of a roundup of some of the things we've talked about and what we've learned. We're going to do a bit of a look forward in what next season is going to contain, and I've even got a little bit of homework for you guys. So looking back on this year, I planned this season as sort of a general covering of topics of things that didn't really get talked about a lot, or that I felt I had a perspective on it that not everybody else had. And in a way, a lot of this podcast is me trying to sort out my own thoughts on everything I've learned in my deep and sudden dive into the publishing industry, because my career path here is not one I had planned out. It's not even one I expected. It just sort of happened, and it happened really fucking quick. And I learned so much in such a short time that sometimes I forgot that I had actually learned something, and I always felt unsure of my own knowledge. So when I approached doing this podcast, I approached it as a way of getting my own thoughts in order and starting to feel more confident in the knowledge that I knew I had, as well as sharing that knowledge with others in the writing community who might feel a need for it as well. And that's why I started where I did, which is about being a professional author, branding yourself, using a pen name or a real name, and really about the very basics of what you need to think about when you start on the path to becoming an author. Publishing process in a nutshell, there's one that we are going to be covering in depth in a future season, but not next season. And things like reasonable expectations, because even I had unreasonable expectations of what I was going to get out of being a writer and being involved in this industry. And I think it's really important to be able to set yourself on the right fucking path so that you aren't just setting yourself up for a mental failure, for depression, and being angry that things haven't turned out the way you had built it up to in your mind. Because I love writing. I don't want to stop writing, and I don't want to be the cause of the reason I have to stop writing. I don't want you to be the cause of why you stop doing something you fucking love to do, because this is an industry that if you're in it because you fucking love it. You love writing. Period. End of story. Well, not a literal end of the story, but the end of the reason why anyone would actually want to be a writer. And you can tell yourself any number of reasons why else you are in this, why you are doing this writing thing and torturing yourself this way, but in the end, you really do have to love it. And then I thought about a lot of things that confused me when I first got involved in writing community on Twitter and involved with other authors. So things like getting alphas and betas and ARC readers and whether or not my manuscript's actually ready. Pitch events, my God. Ugh, I still fucking love those things. Queries, synopses, genres. These are all things. They're so basic nuts and bolts that everyone expects you as an author to know, but not everybody takes the time to explain to you. And that's kind of where we were. I mean, mostly about how not to be an asshole author. How not to keep thinking that this is actually a lonely business, because it is a business that highly relies on connections with others, because you can't do it alone. And that's one of the things I was really trying to teach people this season is it is not a solo project to be a published author, to be a professional author. It will never be a truly solo process. At some point, you need to rely on someone else and you need to be able to trust them and their opinion. And I really hope you guys learned something from at least one of the 24 episodes I released, or even one of the little bonus snippets I've thrown out there. But, well, okay, I guess you probably aren't learning fuck from this episode. It's a wrap-up season, so if you learned something here, please tweet me, tell me about it. I would love to know what the fuck you learned from me in this ramble session. But let's talk about how this fits into where we're going next year. Because next year, what I really want to step into is a little bit more on dealing with other people. Not just other writers, but editors, reviewers, even just your general reader base. Because dealing with other people is a really fucking hard thing to do and still try and remain professional, especially when emotions are getting high. And that's also why I talk so much this first season about how this isn't a solo endeavor, because at some point you're dealing with other fucking people. And if you're an introvert like me, you may not have the best interpersonal skills when it comes to other people, and you tend to have, if you're like me with ADHD, emotional dysregulation. So you can get pretty upset really quickly and disproportionately to what's going on if you can't do your best to try and keep yourself grounded and remember where the other person is coming from. So, well, you do have to realize, as authors, we are always going to be dealing with other people in some capacity. Now we need to know how to handle dealing with those people when things aren't going really smoothly. You know, I talk about my good friend Jody, and she's somebody who I know isn't going to judge me if I really fuck up an edit or ask her a stupid question. She's gonna understand where I'm coming from most of the time. And those are the kind of people that you need in your writing circle. And that's where this homework comes in. Now, I'm going to be back towards the end of January with this, but in the meantime, I want you to try and reach out, try to find your writing tribe, at least one person who you can at least go to for advice, knowing that there's no judgment, knowing that you stand on equal ground. Somebody where you go, hey, I wrote this scene, doesn't make any fucking sense, and they're hopefully able to help you. Now, I know a lot of us really want somebody who's a really good critique partner, and if most of your friends are really busy, they may not have the time to read through a whole novel. And that's okay. Sometimes you can just find somebody who is there for the little piece of advice, to listen when you're having a bout of imposter syndrome, to help you bounce ideas off a wall till you come up with a new story. Somebody who is enthusiastic and supporting of you as you are of them, because it is not a one-way street. It is a give and a take. It is a friendship. It is a partnership in some ways, and you've got to work together. So I want you to go out there and find 1, 2, 3 people. I don't really care how many people you find, but as long as it's at least one person. Try the writing community on Twitter, get involved, talk to other people, try and make friends. There's a lot of writing groups on Discord as well. If you're on Discord, which is fancy-faced IRC for those of us who are older, then what you can do is go there and check out some of those servers who have a lot of other authors on there, and maybe try and make a friend, reach out, get involved. And I know it's really, really hard to do, but building that network, building that circle is going to help you a lot as you move down your path to becoming a published author if you're not one already. And if you already are a published author, meeting these people, becoming friends with these people, knowing these people can really help as you develop your career further down the path. That's all I want you to do, guys. Reach out and make a friend. It's really fucking hard. And it's also just that simple. So find someone, anyone. Just make sure that their enthusiastic support of you is as enthusiastic as your support of them. So that's it, guys. This is sadly the last episode this season, but I am going to be back on January 19th of 2022, where we're going to start going over what we're looking for when we're dealing with other people, how to handle certain situations. And of course, we're not just going to leave it at that. There is more variety than just dealing with other people and all of that. We are actually going to be talking a little bit more about some of the basics of the publishing industry and getting your foot in the door. Things like offering books for free or unpaid anthologies, or, what it means to be a sellout, or if that is actually even a fucking thing. So we're not just talking about interacting with other people, including your readers, but we're going to cover a few other things that a lot of people might get wrong or have questions about when it comes to this industry. So I hope you all have a happy holiday season. I am raising my glass. Here is a toast to you. And I will see you. Well, I guess I won't. But y'all will hear me in 2022. This has been another episode of Not Safe for Words. I hope you found some useful advice here today. If so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can join me next time for more publishing and writing insights. Thanks for listening.